For your wedding, you had a guest book where you asked people to write messages to you, which that's normal wedding behavior. But of course, because I'm nosy, I looked at everyone's messages because I want to get the benefit of the messages too.
Yeah.
And you had written in your own wedding guest book, I love TiVo.
Yes, it's certainly possible. I do love TiVo.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Yay.
Yay.
Hi. Where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles in our house.
Oh, the best.
Yeah. You're in the city?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In New York City.
Yes, where it's very hot.
Is it?
And everybody's in a bad mood and mad at me.
Your whole family?
Everybody. Just because there's always something somebody's disappointed about. I mean, I can't. It's like I've almost hit peak disappointment. It's
the ballad of the American mother.
That's right. How have I disappointed you today? Where is Busy?
Busy she's just taken a little hiatus. Her kid is home from boarding school. I think she didn't want to be I have to go do my podcast at any point while she was home.
That's good. I think that's smart.
It's smart. I'm sure you've dealt with the same. And by the way, if there's anything that I ask about or that you say that you're on second thought, I wish I didn't say that. Just let me know.
No, don't worry. It's not good. That's not going to happen. There's literally nothing where at this point, I am so careful that my husband asked me how I am and I'm like, what can I say publicly here? You know what I mean? I'm just but yes, with the kid stuff, my kids are conflicted about it.
Yeah.
They are interested in politics and they're interested in what America looks like right now and what it will look like and the consequences of that.
Yeah.
But they also are conflicted. But they're a little older too.
But they're do you have to do it, Mom? Does it have to be you?
Well, I think they kind of there are two things. I can get really good restaurant reservations.
Amazing.
And that, the Polo Bar, they really are impressed with the Polo Bar because the food's really good.
Yeah.
Sometimes famous people. So that they're very impressed with. So that wins me some points. But otherwise, not so impressed.
Not so impressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not so impressed.
Guys, we are very excited today because I have a very special guest who probably many of you already know, but I actually know her in real life because she went to school with my husband, LOL.
Grad school.
So that's how we know each other.
Late in life grad school.
Yeah, late in life grad school. And so that's how we first met, but we've known each other for years. I have adored her for years. She is a star on the political news scene. And she's just a star writer and also one of my favorite, most funniest people. Molly Jong-Fast is here. Yay! I wish we had an audience to clap for you.
Oh, well, that's okay. I'll clap for myself. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was really fun when you asked me. I was delighted.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for filling in for Busy while Busy's still on vacay with her family. I'm so excited to just get to see you. I'm excited whenever I get to see you. I have to say, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but when my husband first applied to grad school, he applied to a number of schools. He got into all of them, not to brag, because he's a talented writer and you are as well. And so when he chose to go to Bennington, which is where you two went to school together. At some point, they sent a list of who the classmates were going to be. And he was excited by that, just like reading the names. But I, of course, immediately like Googled every person on the list. And I was like, oh my God, this person, like, they got fined by their town because they let their horse shit in someone's, and he was like, stop. He was like, stop Googling who my classmates are going to be. And so, of course, I Googled you and I was like, oh, she's amazing. Her mom's amazing. I've read her mom's book, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I'm begging you to please stop Googling. But then when he went to that first seminar, because it was like a low residency program, which is, it's kind of interesting. Instead of like going to school regularly, you kind of go away for like not a retreat. It's almost like boot camp, like writing boot camp at a college.
10 days.
Yeah, for 10 days. And then you come back and you do your work independently and like send it by Pony Express back to your professors. And that first time he came back after meeting you, he was like, oh my God, you're gonna love her. She's like your kind of person. You're gonna love her. So anyway, I'm so happy to know you.
I'm always shocked when anyone likes me and very delighted. But thank you. He's a very lovely guy too. And your kids have grown up since I've known you.
They really have, because they were just little ones. And you were
I just had one baby.
Yes. I mean, you were just, I'm sure you don't mind me saying, we were guests at your wedding, and
that's right.
So was your baby. So was your oldest kid was definitely there in that belly.
Was definitely there. Yes, that's right. I have a 20-year-old. So
oh my, I can't believe it was 20 years ago.
But you have like what, 26?
25 and 22 now they are. Yeah.
So
and they always
little grown-ups.
They speak so fondly of your in-laws, because your in-laws lived in the same town that we lived in Connecticut. And they were so gracious to us, always like inviting the kids over to play in their big yard and swim in their pool. And my kids got involved in politics locally. And so they had so much contact with your in-laws.
Yeah, Connecticut is a great state for local politicians, and they have some great senators too.
For real.
Yeah.
We're so lucky. Yeah. So the kids always speak very, very fondly of you and your in-laws. And we always talk on this podcast about pivots, and like a pivot is like your whole thing, I feel like.
Yeah. Definitely.
I think are to right now and the career that you've made, let's talk about it. Let's like run it back a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say, it's funny because it's like some of what happened to me was that I had all these children and it like completely derailed my career. I mean, I just want to like real talk. Like, and I'm glad it did. And I'm glad I had the opportunity. My husband and I always talk about like privilege and how much privilege we have.
Yeah.
Because we both came from really very comfortable families. We had a lot of advantages. And we always talk about this because it's so hard. Like, I know how hard it was I know how hard it is for me, and I have like every single privilege you could have, right? And I had so many things that made it so that I could, fail and come back and have different chances. And I think so much about, people like there's an activist I'm friends with who mother was homeless, lived in her car, did her high school while living in her car, got a scholarship, went to an Ivy League college, is now, a political activist. It's like, there are people who do, like, I've done, considering how much advantage I've had, I've done fine.
Yeah.
But like, there are people who are literally like living in their car, going to high school, getting, and getting into Ivy League colleges. They're not as many as there should be, like Pell Grants, which are available to people in the sort of lowest income bracket, are like the great miracle of American life, because they make it so you can go to college.
Yes, I was a
And-
Pell Grant recipient. Yes.
Right. And it's the greatest thing ever. Like, if, it's so funny because it's like when you think about this Republican Party right now and what Trump wants to do with Project 2025, which he has disavowed, but is written by numerous cabinet secretaries of his and people from his administration. And
Yeah,
uses his
he's
name.
disavowed a lot of things over the years,
Right,
by the way,
exactly.
that have turned out to be 100% all him.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But his name is mentioned 300 times. One of the things that the sort of nut of Project 2025, the sort of nut of this, if he gets reelected, his administration will be disassembling things like the Department of Education.
Right.
And and like Pell Grants and the things that are, the sort of foundation of this post FDR America will go away. So I always, I know how hard it is for me, having had every advantage. So I can't even sort of in my head wrap my head around how hard it is for. And I think it's an interesting point, like when we talk about Kamala Harris, because she had two academic parents.
Right.
She grew up in Oakland. She, her mother was a researcher. Her father was an economist. But still not, still had to make it. Went to Howard, went to law school.
Worked at McDonald's.
Worked at McDonald's during the summer. And then you have Tim Walz, who's a similar, had a father who died when he was young, used the GI Bill, another incredible FDR-style social program that made it so you could go into the service and pay for college.
Right.
And then ended up living these American dreams. So I do think that when I think about my story, I just am like in awe of people who can do what I did, and it's 10 times harder.
Right.
So, but I have had like a lot of privilege, and I also got married when I was very young. So I had a lot of support there.
Yeah.
And so I was lucky, I wrote novels. I started writing novels. Then I had all these children, and I sort of was like, I don't know what I'm doing in my life. My novels didn't sell. And then I started writing little political pieces for a place that I had written for, the Jewish Daily Forward, when I was 13.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would say like my story is basically that if you're willing to be humble and like go back to where you started, you can change the trajectory of your life. So like I wrote these little pieces. They weren't particularly great, and I just kept writing them every week, and I got better and better at doing it because I kept doing it. And then I got asked to write for a slightly better place, and then a slightly better place. And then, it was just like, I just did what they told me to do.
Yeah.
And I wasn't about my ego or anything. And it worked out for me. But I think that is the message I have to say, which is like, I was humble, and I don't know if I was humble, but I did humble work and got better at what I was doing.
Yeah. I feel like you had something to say, and you were going to say it wherever they were going to let you say it. And you really found this thing that you were passionate about and smart about. And you said that your writing wasn't so great at first, but clearly there was something about what you were saying that was resonating with people and getting people to notice. And so like the writing comes along. Obviously, like we wouldn't go to grad school for writing if it wasn't something that you could learn to be better at,
Yeah.
But what has made me so happy watching you and so joyful watching you is that you really found your thing that like you excel at, and politics. I'm going to say better than mostly everyone out there, better than anyone I know.
I mean, I have like a very limited skill set. I mean, I would say there are people like Stuart Stevens or campaign people. Jen Palmieri is a great example.
Yeah.
Where they have real insight, Jen Psaki too, insight into the campaign world, which I don't have because I never worked on a campaign.
Yeah.
So there are certain things, or, they were a U.S. senator. So that's quite interesting. I come from a sort of different world, so I have a different view. I think what serves me is that because this is like truly a kind of crazy thing to say, but like I grew up with all these like weird old writers like Gore Vidal, who
Yeah.
nobody gives a shit about anymore. Can I curse?
You can curse
Who's not-
all you want.
Yeah, he's not like, he was like very famous when I was a kid. He is not famous. Nobody even gives, like, Gore Vidal, like nobody even knows who he is anymore.
Right.
But he was this brilliant writer and very crazy. And he had this whole theory of American politics. And it was that nobody remembers anything. We are the United States of amnesia because we remember nothing, we learn nothing, we never adapt and grow. And so one of the things that I have been, because I feel like, I don't know if it's low self-esteem or if it's just that I feel like I don't have as much experience as a lot of people, I'm always trying to kind of like listen to people and see what they're saying. And so, I've learned a lot from just listening to people, and Gore Vidal is a great example of that, because one of the things I see a lot when we talk about politics is that we don't necessarily hit the very recent past.
Right.
So you'll be talking about 2024 and not thinking about 2022 or 2020,
Right.
which should inform, recent history is really helppful. So in that way, I think it's really helpful. One of the things that I have been like in my head working on, I mean, part of it is we're in a situation where we feel like at least I feel that there's not the kind of transparency we probably need to make educated guesses. So like a good example is polls. There's a lot of polling methodology that's not transparent, that's kind of opaque.
Right.
Stuff like trying to account for the Trump electorate. And that means that sometimes the top of the ticket looks different than the bottom of the ticket.
Right.
And that was something we saw when Biden was in the race still, where you would see like the bottom of the ticket, you'd have the Democrat, think like Tammy Baldwin. She'd be up 5 or 6 in Wisconsin. And then you'd have Biden down 2. And that sort of didn't make any sense to me, because so you have people who are leaving the top of the ticket blank or voting for Trump and then voting for Tammy Baldwin. Like, and so we don't know. Again, we're not going to know till November
Right.
what that methodology is and whether or not it's right. But that always hit me as a little hinky. I've tried to ask pollsters about that, and they seem not either unable or unwilling to explain it to me. But that's, like so many of the things that we're dealing with right now, there's just not a ton of the information we might need to really feel comfortable making guesses. And that's how I feel about polls. And
Right,
also how I
right.
feel about social media.
Hey, Biz, we have a new sponsor this week.
What if you could bottle a runner's high or tap into that feeling of flow state on demand every day? Enter Ketone IQ.
Sometimes my brain is so foggy, and I don't know if that's from menopause or her daughter perimenopause. But every day, if I sit on that sofa, then I start telling myself it might be okay to take a little nap. And I really can't.
We can't get into afternoon napping. We're still too young.
So I've really been looking for something to just clear away that brain fog.
You're probably thinking, does Ketone IQ have to do with the keto diet? No, not really. It's not a keto diet company. They just believe that everyone can improve their metabolic health by spending more time with elevated ketones.
They're a macronutrient that can cross the blood-brain barrier and increase brain energy and efficiency. Who doesn't need that? So when have you been taking Ketone IQ?
I've been doing a quick little shot in the afternoon instead of my afternoon gigantic bucket of iced coffee. And I'm going to be honest,
It's not great. It's not the best tasting thing that I've ever tasted in the world.
so I just either shotgun it real quick, swallow it back, or I mix it in a little juice.
I mix it in my afternoon element. And the reason why I love it is it just wakes me up, and I'm able to tackle the second half of my day, get everything done that I need to get done, and just kick some ass.
It makes me feel awake without feeling jittery. And listen, it's not just us who are into ketone IQ. Some professional and Olympic athletes have been working with them. Sam Laidlow, Ironman world champion. I don't know what is in an Ironman competition, but it sounds very hard. So anyway, we think you should give Ketone IQ a try. You can save 30% off your first subscription order, plus receive a free 6-pack of Ketone IQ by visiting ketone.com/busy. That's ketone.com/busy for 30% off your first subscription order and a free 6-pack. I just placed my Hungry Root order.
So helpful to be able to have that one task taken care of.
No, I know. And I've been having such a hard time grocery shopping, such a hard time.
Yeah.
And I love that with Hungry Root, I know that I'm getting healthy groceries delivered right to my door, things that I like, quality, produce. It just saves time. And it's like less expensive than constantly eating out or getting takeout or ordering in. And the food's delicious.
It's also easier than trying to find everything in a grocery store. You can see everything in front of you and choose from anything you could ever want.
Yeah. Because they build like a little personalized cart. And so you look at the cart and you see, oh yeah, that sounds good. I'm into that. And then they give you like the recommendations, the recipe recommendations. And that way you make sure that you use all of the groceries that you receive. It's very easy. And like the chicken dish that I got, like that part was already sort of made. So I just heated up on the stove. I was like, I'm doing it in a lettuce wrap. I'm going to have like a little side of rice, which I also got from Hungry Root.
They have everything.
They have everything. Plus, I love the quiz.
Oh.
You want to take a quiz, which we love a quiz. And then they build you a personalized cart.
And you can make little recipes to it.
You can tweak it.
Yeah, I love that too.
I actually did it again because I did before. But I did want to change it a little bit because I remember I was saying I wanted to do anti-inflammation.
Yes, right. And I love that also they will alter recipes for you. Like I try not to eat as many carbs as most people, so I can get the recipes with carb components removed.
We love Hungry Root because everything from Hungry Root follows a simple standard. It's got to taste good, got to be quick to make, and got to contain whole, trusted ingredients. Why not you give it a try? Right now, Hungry Root is offering Busy Phillips is Doing Her Best listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/busy to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/busy. Don't forget to use our link so that they know we sent you.
Well, polls and social media kind of go hand in hand, right? Because what I've learned over the years, and you correct me if I'm wrong on anything that you know I'm wrong on, is that one thing, people just look at a poll and it's like you're looking at laundry detergent on the shelf. You're like, this one's more expensive. This one comes in a blue bottle. I like the smell of this one. You know, it's just kind of like it gives people a visceral reaction when we see it. But really, what's really important is to look at the ingredients and the performance of the laundry detergent. And what we are often not readily given, and it's not readily explained to us, is the quality of the polls that are being put out. Like, for example, if CNN just puts a poll on Twitter and says, like, are you voting for Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? And then they're like, 99% of people, it's not Twitter anymore, it's X. If 99% of people said they're voting for Donald Trump on this, it's not scientific. That quality of that poll, which it's not even a poll really, it's like a survey, whatever. Like you can do it on your Instagram as well. You can put a poll on your Instagram and then you can be like, well, 99% of my friends say they're voting for Kamala Harris. Yes, that's amazing. And it makes you feel a certain way. It makes you feel bad or good, but it's not, you couldn't call it a high quality poll. So what I'm learning is about how you have to read into the ingredients of the poll to try to determine what the quality is. But that's increasingly difficult. And, and then on top of that, there's all kinds of wildness. Like they say people don't answer landlines anymore and they're not calling
Right.
cell phones, and young people don't answer polls. And so they're not a real accurate anything. Like the quality of the polls are low, and we're
Right.
just using them as a sort of like, panacea or like snacks or whatever. They're garbage. And then there's a reason why they seem to becoming less and less accurate as time goes on. And so what they say is true. Like the only accurate poll is what happens at the ballot box. That's,
Yeah.
that's the only thing we can go on, really.
Right. Well, and I would say it's like there's this political scientist who said that polls are pseudo events. So we in the mainstream media tend to treat them as events, but they're not actually events. They are snapshots at of a moment in time. I've written about this for my Vanity Fair column, but
she writes for Vanity Fair, everyone, in case you didn't know. But I bet you did know. But in case you didn't, go on.
But what I think is interesting about this is that I think you can see trajectories, and that's useful.
Yeah.
So you can see what that trajectory looked like. Now, one of my least favorite poll stories is in Wisconsin. There was a Senate race in 2022, and I always talk about this because it makes me so angry. It was a guy called Mandela Barnes. He had been the lieutenant governor of Wisconsin under Tony Evers, and he was really good, really solid candidate, running against Ron Anand Johnson, who is a conspiracy theorist, a complete lunatic.
Right.
And Mandela Barnes, the polls just showed him behind 6-8 points, and everyone said, oh, Wisconsin isn't ready for a Black senator. And I was like, well, that is kind of racist. And I kept being like, I think Wisconsin is ready for Mandela Barnes. He's great.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, you're wrong. So then the DSC, the Democratic Senate Committee, abandoned him because his polls were so bad. And he lost by 1 point.
He was close.
1 point. And if nobody had listened to the polls, he would be a United States senator right now. And
if they
Ron
hadn't
Johnson
took their foot off the gas.
Right. And Ron Johnson would be selling ivermectin on Fox News. So that's why polls can be really, you shouldn't trust them. That's my
they're manipulation in some ways, depending on all those factors that we were talking about. They are kind of election interference at times if they make you overconfident, if they make you apathetic.
And there's states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, where we know it's going to be tight.
Right.
And so, and maybe it won't be tight. Maybe she'll blow it out. I mean, that's not impossible. But to give up on a state like that, on a race in a state like that is bad. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm just feeling like we can't be overconfident. And so here's how I feel about polling in general. Like we said, all the reasons why you have to take it with a whole spoonful of the saltiest salt. By the same token, when you can't believe polls that say we're behind, you shouldn't necessarily believe the good news when a poll says that we're 10 points ahead. Take it all with all the salt that you can handle and vote like we're behind, and like your vote is the vote that's going to make the difference between a win and a loss, so that come what may, you can know that you did your part. Because it would just be such a shame to have anyone, a situation like you were just saying, say I don't know, the polls said that it was a lost cause, so I didn't show up. And then it turns out that he lost by 1% in my state. This, person that was running that could have turned the state, could have changed the state. How bad would that feel to be saying that about this presidential election? So I just feel like we can't let up. We can't take our foot off the gas. We can't listen to all of these polls. Listen, I'm saying we can't listen to all of these polls. Do I look at them all? Yes, obviously. Obviously I do. It's like I know that celebrity gossip is wrong. Does it stop me from reading it? No. Of course not. Of course not. But I also pay a lot of attention to where donations are flowing to. I take that as an indicator of enthusiasm. Small first-time donations, voter registrations I pay a lot of attention to, volunteer numbers I pay a lot of attention to. And those rallies look good too.
Yeah. And since Harris has gotten into the race, Act Blue has raised $300 million.
That's incredible.
Which is incredible. So, I mean, one of the things that I think is a lesson to women everywhere is that a lot of people said she couldn't do it and said that she was perhaps one of the most underestimated candidates in political history. And I think that it's worth, what she has done, it has been one of the most seamless rollouts probably ever.
Yeah.
She's united the party. On the stump, she's so good. She has so much command. She speaks so well. She's loud enough, which a lot of women have trouble with, but doesn't yell. And again, it's not like this is her first time out, right?
Yeah.
She was a DA, an attorney's general for the largest state, for a state that's like a small country.
Yeah.
She was the second female Black senator ever, first East Asian. She was the first vice president ever. So she has experience.
Yeah.
And, she was a prosecutor before that, but a sex crimes prosecutor. But she has hit that sweet spot of being able to communicate and also just have command of an auditorium of 10,000 plus people. And that is not nothing. And a lot of people can't do that no matter how competent they are.
Right. It's just something that she's got it. And I'm not going to lie. I was so scared when Joe Biden said that he was stepping down from the race, not because I ever doubted that she could do it. I doubted that we could do it.
Yeah.
I doubted that we could get our shit together enough to have her back the way that we'd need to have her back. And so to everyone that I doubted, I do apologize. It has been the joy of my life to see people get their shit together and to see people saying I understand the assignment. This time I understand. Because we have failed to do that for our candidates in the past. And I get it.
Yeah.
People have the things that are their issues that that mean a lot to them, and they want to make sure that they're addressed in the ways that they want them addressed. And I have respect for that. That's democracy.
I mean, I also think it's one of the things that's been really good. I would say that I think that the Hillary Clinton run actually has helped Harris step into this because we have seen a woman candidate before. And I also think that being vice president is quite, I would say it set her up for success. I have written about her a bunch. And what I saw was that about 2 years into her vice presidency, she got a new chief of staff.
Yeah.
Who was very, very, very good. And then she sort of did a bunch of small things. A different speechwriter, got more involved. She went to the Munich, she had been to the Munich Security Conference before, but she became a star, got a real relationship with the president of Mexico, Obrador. He's not the president anymore, but he's sort of the president still. It's not so great. But he loves her. She just was able to kind of get in her power as a legislator. And then I also think Nancy Pelosi is probably the most powerful woman in American politics.
Yeah.
And was before Harris became the vice president. And in some ways, she also helped set the table for that.
Yeah.
Because she has been kind of seamless. And even though she's a Democrat and Republicans don't necessarily like her, people respect her.
They respect her.
Let me
fear.
rephrase that. They know what she's capable of.
Yes,
I wasn't
yes.
going to say, because I don't think a lot of Republicans like her, but they know what she's capable of. And I think that Pelosi sort of showed us that a woman could be as capable as another person who I don't particularly fond of, but who is a killer, is Mitch McConnell.
Right.
And I think Pelosi is sort of that level of political operative in a way that we hadn't seen women like that. So I think she did set the table a little bit.
Wild grain.
Nothing like fresh baked bread.
I love you, wild grain. I love wild grain so much, you guys. It is the greatest. If they came to us and they were like, we're not going to pay you anymore, we'll give you a little bit of equity in the company, I would do it. Guys, you've heard us talk about wild grain. We love it so much. If you haven't heard us, real quick, wild grain is the first ever bake from frozen subscription box for the best tasting breads, fresh pastas, artisanal pastries. Wild grain uses this slow fermentation process that's easier on your tummy. And I have to tell you, when I eat it, my nose doesn't turn red.
Every item bakes from frozen in 25 minutes or less because I'm not the bread girl. Like I tried, and I'm not the person that knows how to even do that.
Bake bread from scratch, that's not me.
That's not me.
No, I killed that sourdough starter literally the day after I got it. Like it was dead. I was like, how is that even? My friend was like, that's not even possible. I'm like, it's done. I'm telling you it is.
You did it.
And I think it's such like a wonderful thing. If you have kids, if you have family that stop by or whatever,
Yeah.
like you can just throw in a loaf of bread and you can make fresh, delicious sandwiches with your bread. Also, the croissants are incredible.
So good.
Fettuccine pasta is amazing. There's no thawing required. And now you can fully customize your wild grain box. You can choose any combination of breads, pastas, or pastries and build a box of only breads if you want. Build a box of only pastas or only the pastries if you like. Maybe
I want a box of each.
And sometimes I just do that.
And vegan friends rejoice because now Wild Grain has plant-based boxes with plant-based breads, rolls, pastas, treats, cookies, and plant-based croissants. I'm going to get that.
It's very easy to reschedule, skip, or cancel. All you do is sign up at wildgrain.com/busy. And you choose which type of box you want to receive and how often. And for a limited time, you, person listening to this, my friend, can get $30 off the first box plus free croissants in every box, guys. Go to wildgrain.com/busy to start your subscription. You heard me, guys. Free croissants in every box and $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/busy. That is wildgrain.com/busy, or you can use promo code busy at the checkout. I really love wild grain. I gotta tell you something, guys. Blue Land gives us a couple statistics that make me feel ill. And it's like deeply upsetting that we're eating and drinking roughly a credit card's worth of plastic every week. Because the products that you use every day are ultimately contaminating our water supply, generating microplastics that we end up ingesting.
Yeah, the laundry pods that we're using, the skin has plastic in it, and that ends up in the water, which is gross. But I'm very excited because Blue Land is launching a first-of-its-kind fragrance laundry detergent tablet that has no plastic in it in the scent Spring Bloom. After 2 years of extensive research and development, Blueland has successfully created a fragrance tablet that not only maintains the company's commitment to powerful plastic-free efficacy, but also delivers a delightful scent that customers have been requesting for years. Sun-ripened citrus, fresh wildflowers, and golden amber. And if they smell anywhere near as good as the toilet tablets, I'm in.
I love those little toilet tabs. I love the hand soap. I love Blueland so much because they're on a mission to eliminate single-use plastic by reinventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet. The idea is very simple. Endlessly refillable cleaning products with chic glass containers that look great on your counter. You fill the bottles with water, drop in the tablets. It's so easy. Once you do it, you're like, what have we been doing? Most cleaning formulas are 90% water, which is heavy to ship and causes excessive carbon emissions.
Right.
We got to stop.
I'm so excited to wash a whole bunch of laundry with these plastic-free laundry tablets. Let's go.
Anyway, guys, highly recommend Blueland. We love them. And Blueland has a special offer for our listeners right now. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/best. You don't want to miss it. Blueland.com/best for 15% off. That's blueland.com/best to get 15% off.
I look forward to the day when we're able to tell the whole story of how this all happened, what history will reflect about how this all happened, and so grateful to Joe Biden for he's doing it. Talk about not taking your foot off the gas. He hasn't taken his foot off the gas, even though everybody got mad that he went to the beach for a day.
I think he should. Yeah, I mean, I just have to say, like, he negotiated the largest, most complicated hostage release deal ever, right?
Yeah.
Certainly in modern history.
Yeah.
That involved multiple countries, multiple hostages, Russia, who was not, they were not excited to give. I mean, I think getting Evan Gershkovich out of a Russian, whatever prison, whatever it was really a big deal. So I think he should go to the beach.
Yeah, he deserves.
I would like him to go.
He deserves a day at the beach and all the ice cream his heart desires.
The man is 81, and he did that, and then he did a bunch of interviews, and in my mind, I think good for him.
Yeah, and he's gonna be out there campaigning for Vice President Harris.
When you ask the people in the campaign, when you talk to them, what they say, they all have this same message, which is Biden says, if you want to honor me, make her president. And that's such a difference from like LBJ, right? The times when a president has stepped back for a vice president and after one term and not supported them. This is totally different, right? He endorses her immediately.
Right.
He doesn't say, there was this crazy document going around about a crazy primary, a snap primary that involved Oprah. Like Oprah wanted to do that. She did not. Like, we're calling you back from Montecito so that you can do this incredibly stupid idea.
Yeah, Oprah's doing fine. She's not. She would have jumped in by now if she.
Yeah,
that was
not
on her to-do list.
But he endorsed right away. He gave her the operation. They had this handoff phone call where they talked. It was very heartwarming.
Yeah. I just think that history will remember him. I hope very well. Listen, I was a little kid, but I remember Jimmy Carter's presidency and how rough the United States was on Jimmy Carter at the time.
Yeah.
And so to see how beloved he is now, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that people see him that way and speak of him that way. And I'm sorry that he had to live to be over 100 years old to see it, the love. But anyway, so I'm hoping that history will remember Joe Biden as fondly as I think he deserves to be remembered a lot faster than we saw that with Jimmy Carter. And knock on wood,
Yeah, me
really
too.
rooting for Jimmy Carter to make it to vote for a Kamala because he said that's his wish.
Yeah. And you know, the man has been in hospice for what, a year? Do not bet against Jimmy Carter.
Oh my
You know.
God.
But one other thing, sorry to interrupt you again.
Do it.
About the hostage release is that Carter had these hostages he was trying to get released.
Yes.
You'll remember, and he
Yes.
couldn't get them released, and then they got released to Reagan. And I think it's important to realize that shows just how diminished Trump's power is, because Trump had said he was going to get Evan Gershkovich released, and he was unable. So I think, you know, he was sort of hoping that Putin would hold Gershkovich for him.
Right.
And so I think that's just an important data point to show how diminished he is on the world stage. Sorry.
Yeah. No, he's diminished on every stage, I feel like. And whenever I saw that clip of him at one of his rallies just saying, like, I'm sick of protecting you people. Like, I'm surprised that didn't get more play, because I was like, then quit. Like, you know, that would be, that you'd save a ton of money. But obviously we know he's like running and hoping to win and hoping to do whatever he can to keep himself out of prison and enrich himself. Let me ask you this, as someone who's super smart about politics. He's not doing any campaigning, he said, until after the DNC. What is he doing with all that money?
Well, so he is running like $100 million worth of swing state ads. I just read that. So that's a lot of ads. I think, I mean, who knows? Like, that's his campaign saying it. So again, we won't know until we see the FDC filings, the federal campaign filings, to know how much he actually spent, which I think is important. I would say, like, don't take the Trump campaign at their word, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they lie all the time.
Right. So, but that's a lot. But, you know, he's 78, you know, like, it's, you know, he's run for president against 3 different people,
right?
2016, 2020, 24. So there's like a reason that people don't keep doing it. It's because it's exhausting.
I don't feel like doing shit. And I have, you know, he has a quarter century on me. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, I remember in 2016, one of the things Trump did, which is why he won, was that he was in Wisconsin all the time. He was in Wisconsin and Michigan and back and forth. And I was listening to a Walz-Harris rally, and Walz was saying, you know, because they had in Nevada, it was so hot, they closed the stadium. And like 10,000 people got in, but 4,000 people were sent home, which is a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, we'll be back in Nevada. And I'm like, yeah, they will be back in Nevada, because they're going to be back and forth to Nevada endlessly. And that's what campaigns are. It's a lot of flying to, you know, to Wisconsin and Michigan. And you know, it's a lot of campaigning.
I mean, I feel like when Hillary Clinton was running, and I know people have their qualms about where she didn't go, but like, I know that the kids were so into campaigning for Hillary Clinton, and we met her like 3 times. And that's one of the reasons, in addition to the fact that it was her work that made sure that my kids had health insurance in a time when we were health insurance insecure. I also love her because we went to a giant rally. We got separated from the kids. Then they texted us to let us know that they were literally right behind Hillary Clinton. And then when she was walking out, she saw them take a selfie, like trying to take a selfie, you know how you do, and you try to catch someone in the background. And she said, that's not a very good picture. And she took their phone from them and took a selfie herself with them. And I was just like, I mean, in addition to the health insurance, that was pretty sweet and cool.
Yeah.
But
that is cool.
my point is, My kids got 3 opportunities during that campaign to interface with Hillary Clinton. I feel like when Elizabeth Warren has been running, she has endless energy. I feel like everyone I know has a picture with Elizabeth Warren because they met her when she was on the trail. So the fact that Harris walls are out there and they're turning people away from these massive rallies, it does
Right.
not surprise me. I hope everybody that wants a chance to see them speak and to be part of history and be part of that energy gets a chance to. I have faith. It seems like they're really listening to people and
Yeah.
just doing what they got to do. So I have
Yeah.
faith that they'll be coming to a state near you.
I think so. This is August. They have plenty of time to go.
How many days?
baptize.
This will be coming out, by the way, on
3 or 84?
Yeah, 83 days, 84 days. Okay.
Boy, oh boy, do I love Thrive.
Well,
People
you-
ask me what mascara I'm using.
You've turned on a number of professional makeup artists to this mascara.
Very true. People are obsessed. And here's why I like Thrive, because I tried it. Because I tried it and it worked better than anything I had ever tried before. The Liquid Lash Extensions mascara, I'm not even kidding you. My eyelashes are healthier now than when I started using this mascara 2 years ago. I am telling you.
Right.
It's really an incredible formulation. It tubes around your eyelashes. It comes right off with warm water. And it really has these like nourishing ingredients. And my lashes are the proof. I have it on my eyes right now. I love it. I love it. I also love that Brilliant Eye Brightener too. It's like a highlighter stick.
Yes.
You can use it on your eyes. You can use it on your high cheekbone. You can use it on your little lip dip
Wherever,
thing.
your collarbone,
Wherever you need.
whatever.
You need.
Oh, and the new Empower Matte Precision Lipstick Crayon is like a 2-in-1. It's like a liner and a lipstick. It has a sharpener. It stays on for like 12 hours. But the thing is, those long-wearing lipsticks tend to be very drying, and I'm very afraid of them. And this one feels like you're wearing nothing at all. And then later, your lips feel so moisturized and soft. And it comes in such pretty colors. I love Ruth. I love Brandy. I love Patty is like this really nice pink. They're so nice and they feel so, so, so good.
Thrive Cosmetics has a full line of makeup that can refresh your everyday look. They have very clean, skin-loving ingredients. But also, I love that they like not only have uncompromising standards, but that they support communities that I care about. That's why Thrive is in their name and why they spell cosmetics CAUSE, because they donate funds to help communities thrive. That's how they give back. Their formulas are 100% vegan and cruelty free and have zero parabens, sulfates, or phthalates. I'm obsessed with everything, you guys. But that Liquid Lash Extensions mascara, I want you to tag me, okay? I want you to get it. And I want you to tag me because I want to see that it makes everyone's lashes look incredible. You're going to love it. Refresh your everyday look with Thrive Cosmetics. It is luxury beauty that gives back. And right now you can get an exclusive 10% off your first order at thrivecosmetics.com/best. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/best for 10% off your first order. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Listen, we've talked about it before. We'll talk about it again. One thing that is very important in our lives is therapy. You know, I'm a big fan of therapy. In fact, I think that therapy is so useful for everyone because all of us are going to be faced with difficult times in our lives.
Right. You know me, if there's any barrier to entry for something, that's what I'll use as an excuse because getting started is always the hardest part for me. And so BetterHelp has made it so easy for me to get on there and just make that appointment.
Therapy can be a place where you work through challenges in relationships, It can be helpful for learning coping skills, how to set boundaries.
You also might be doing okay, but need some of these skills to cope when things come up. And that's where BetterHelp really comes in handy for me.
Yeah. I think if you're thinking of starting therapy, BetterHelp is a great place to try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient and flexible and suited to your schedule. BetterHelp wants to make therapy accessible and easy for anyone who wants to give it a go. You fill out a brief questionnaire. They will match you with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. You may not ever want to, and that's amazing too.
So never skip therapy day with BetterHelp.
Visit betterhelp.com/busy to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/busy.
So this comes out on Wednesday, but Molly and I are talking on Monday morning. So like 48 hours, so as we know, so much can happen. It happens every time Busy and I talk about something, and then like it's already answered. Any question that we have is already answered. What do we think is going on with this leak to Politico from Trump's campaign?
So I don't know. I mean, I think
hack. They're saying a hack, but then Donald Trump used the word leak. Because a hack would be foreign powers doing that, and a leak would be somebody from within.
Both are possible. I think we'll know more. We'll know more imminently. But I think what's been smart is that mainstream media has covered it as they don't know yet, because it's not. You can't take the campaign's word for it.
Right.
So you need to have it substantiated by, but I'm sure that the FBI, or actually that's the CIA, I'm sure that the CIA will eventually brief us or put something out about it for sure. I would be shocked if they didn't.
Oh my gosh. It just seems like we're living through a list of like someone's checking off all of the things that could possibly happen in an election, like they're writing a movie. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's not as bad. It's bad, or let me rephrase that. There's a lot going on, but it's actually in some ways a much more stable time than in the 60s.
Yes.
There's not the same, there certainly is a lot to worry about. And I think the job one needs to be that everyone who has any kind of public forum says that the worst thing that can possibly happen is political violence, and everyone needs to disavow political violence, period, paragraph. And one of the things I saw Harris do, which I thought was really smart, was at a rally, people were chanting, "Lock him up." And she said, no, which said, we're going to pursue the right channels. And that kind of stuff is really good for democracy.
Right.
Too, because what you don't want is the feeling that locking up your political opponent is normal, because it's not.
Right. And
it's
it also could affect any eventual trial or, so she just beat him at the ballot box.
And she's a prosecutor too. So she knows the sanctity of the courts.
Right.
And I mean, that's the thing, is like, as hard as it is for us to see Donald Trump get away with a lot of illegality, I think it's harder for lawyers because they really have so much faith in the legal system.
Right.
And I think that's very tough for them.
Right.
Oh
my gosh. It's been, fuck watching West Wing. We're just like we're living a TV show and a movie, but
yes,
it's been making you happy. How joyful. I saw something that you actually shared where you were like, I have something in my eye, where she was talking to a young teenage girl.
I know.
They asked, will you remember me? She was like, look me in my eye. I want to tell you something. And it just was so sweet and so emotional. If you haven't seen that clip, Definitely look it up. It's just a teenage girl. I think a teenage. She has to be.
Yeah.
Who can tell if
she
anyone's a
seems
teenager
young.
anymore? But she did seem young to me, just saying how much she looked up to Kamala Harris, and Vice President Harris was telling her, like, you can do anything. And, you know, nothing that we haven't heard before, but, you know, sometimes you need someone to tell you individually that you can do anything. And to hear it from her would be something that I hope that young woman remembers forever.
And I think it is important, like, to sort of appreciate the kind of like historic nature of this and what it says to women and girls.
Yes.
You know, and the sort of message that they can, you know, have this meteoric rise in American politics.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things that, well, it's like a lot of things that we've waited for our whole lives and we've wanted to happen our whole lives. And we know that once it happens, once we get over this, like just this little tipping point, how good it could be. You know, I think of the moment that gay marriage was legalized in the United States, and I happened to work for a person who was gay at the time, and just like his state of shock that like saying like, this is something I've waited my whole life for. And then it just happened in a second. Like I didn't expect it to happen, and how life-changing that was for him. And also just all of the feelings. And it has been so good for so many people in our country. It has changed their lives for the better, and it has harmed no one.
Yeah.
You know?
Gay marriage is a great example of how Congress can codify things if they want to.
Yes.
And not if they don't.
Right.
So they codified gay marriage and then refused to protect birth control and IVF. So I'm glad that they codified gay marriage because it's the fucking least they could do, but they should also codify IVF and birth control.
100%. 100%. So hopefully this is all just stuff that will get done in the course of electing Vice President Kamala Harris as president. I love Tim Walz because he's from Minnesota, which is like my adopted home state, even though I have no right to lay claim to it other than just loving Minnesota. It's very it's a great state. The state fair's coming up. Go see the butter sculptures, try all the fun foods. Right. Minnesota loves you. I'll be visiting Minnesota soon myself.
That's so cute.
Let's talk about what you're up to, where people can find you. We already said you have a column in Vanity Fair.
Mm-hmm. I have a column in Vanity Fair. I am Rick Wilson and I are doing 2 tour dates, one in Los Angeles, one in San Francisco. The dates are, we have 27 is LA and 26 is San Francisco. And you guys should all come to either one. And they are going to be great. And I mean, I don't know how great they're going to be, but I think they'll be fun. We have fun. And we have a fun special guest for LA. And we will at some point find a fun special guest for San Francisco, a little harder. And so we're going to do that, which I think will be good.
And then you have your podcast.
Fast Politics.
With Molly Jong-Fast.
The gig economy, yes.
And you have
all my
incredible guests on the podcast.
A lot of, we actually did something really cool that I want to brag about.
Do it.
In 2023, we had so many members of the Virginia House of Delegates and the Virginia State Senate because it was this off-year election. You had Glenn Youngkin, who was this sort of dream. He's sort of Trumpism without the Trump, a little bit more mainstream, wears a red vest, not, very rich, but not as racist. And he was trying to flip the Virginia State House. So he was trying to flip both houses so that he could ban abortion in the state and do a lot of DeSantis style craziness.
Right.
And so we had literally like every member of the Virginia House of Delegates. And I mean, not every single one, but a lot.
A lot.
And I am not taking credit for this for sure because these people were killing themselves to get elected. But either way, Youngkin was unable to flip the state houses. He remains governor, right? But he's term limited out, so he'll be up in 25. But he did not flip the houses. He was not able to Ron DeSantis' state. He has checks and balances, and it was a really impressive showing on the part of Democrats and a lot of hard on the ground work there. So that was really cool.
Well, you did something. You did your part. You did what you could do.
Knows?
Who knows?
But I was happy to be involved.
That's incredible.
In any way.
That's
so
amazing.
We do a lot. And they were pretty boring. I mean, I'm just kidding. They were great. They were so great. I'd be like, what's your favorite food, Virginia?
Oh, my God. Well, the one question that we always ask on this podcast is, what did you do your best at this week?
What did I do my best at? Well, that's a good question. I mean, I did my best to try to stay up past 9 o'clock at night.
That ain't easy.
I'm telling you, like by 8:45, I'm like, no one has ever stayed up this late, ever. I'm like, this is too late. It's 8:45. And I'm like, it's too late. I have to go to bed.
I'm always just dying to retire to my quarters. Even if I'm not going right to sleep, I want to be in my bed, in my bedroom, having like a cool drink and a snack
watching television.
By 8 o'clock, watching television. We both love. I know, Molly, I know you still love television. You love television as much as
I watched the Decameron. It was really good. I highly recommend it on Netflix. I watched it. I like snuck away from my children. I was like, I'll be back in 7 hours. I have to watch this series.
I will never. This is how much Molly loves television. I hope you don't mind me telling this.
Yes, please.
But
I grew up with television.
We all we were all raised by television. Yes. But I feel like, is this true or am I making this up? I know some of the details are true, but I think for your wedding, you had a guest book where you asked people to write messages to you, which that's normal wedding behavior. But of course, because I'm nosy, I looked at everyone's messages because like I want to get the benefit of the messages too.
Yeah.
And you had written in your own wedding guest book, I love TiVo.
Yes, it's certainly possible. I do love TiVo. I mean, now we're so old that TiVo, nobody even knows
it's not
TiVo
a thing.
is.
Like TiVo was just invented. It was like the hottest thing.
It's 20 years ago, you could fast forward commercials and we couldn't even believe, 80% of my childhood was spent watching commercials, and all of a sudden you could just fast forward through them. It was like the greatest thing ever.
And I was like, on this day where she's committing herself to her husband forever, she's also
committing myself to television.
To television and her love of TiVo.
The best.
Yeah, TiVo was great. I miss the noises. I'm a big Roku fan now. I love Roku City is like my favorite city on earth. But
it's a cute little city. Yeah, I'd live there because then we'd live in the television. Should be great.
Roku City lately has been very exciting for me because Busy's and my show Busy This Week on QVC Plus it has been living in Roku City, and they just had our episode with Bette Midler was passing by on a billboard. Very exciting for me.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you get any free stuff?
They do dress us. They dress us. And I mean, I got a lot of QVC foods that they sell were always in my dressing room, which was very nice.
Wow.
And I did get a lot of makeup that I was then allowed to bring home because once they use it on
pretty
you,
good.
you get to keep it. So yeah, so I did get
So yes,
some clothing
a little bit.
and
Yes.
some and
Yes.
yeah, some good clothing. And and also one of the executives there gave me I had a Le Creuset pot that went missing somewhere in my
Yeah.
I don't know how it went missing, like if someone borrowed it and didn't return it or whatever, a small Le Creuset pot that was shaped like a pepper. And one executive that we worked with at QVC really went out of his way to get that pepper pot for me, a replacement, and gave it to me as a gift for my birthday, which was very kind.
That is really nice.
Thank you, Adam.
That is really cool.
I will never forget it. It's on top of my stove where I can see it at every second. It can never be taken away from me again. I want to tell our friends what I have been doing my best at this week. I haven't really done my best at it. My son Eli has done his best at it, but I've been supportive, and that's what I did my best at. Is that, Molly, you won't know anything about this, but Eli finally got his catio all set up and built so that his cat Sunny can leave his room and go outside on her catio. And once we clean it up back there, I'll take pictures of it and put them on Instagram, and everyone can see pictures of beautiful Sunny out in the California sunshine. But the building, the retrieving of Sunny the cat and the building of the catio has been a long saga that our podcast listeners have been following for some time. So I know they would want an update, and the update is that Sunny has full access to the catio now.
I'm happy to hear it. That is very good. That is very good. That's good news. Anytime a cat is given something it needs, I'm very happy.
It's a good life for that cat. It's a cat mansion. It's not to put too many expectations on it, but I think when you see it, you'll all agree that it's a cat mansion. Sunny deserves it. She's been through a lot, and it looks great. And she looks great out there, and we can see her from every angle of the house now. So it's
and
good. And
more importantly, you're a grandmother.
Yes. Our grand cat, yes.
Your grand cat. So congratulations to all who celebrate.
Thank you, Molly.
Anytime.
Thank you for making time to come on the podcast and to pinch hit for Busy while she's out. And everybody, read Molly's column in Vanity Fair. Subscribe to her podcast, Fast Politics. If you're in LA or San Francisco this month, go see her and Rick Wilson on their little mini tour live. That's so exciting. And also, you're on everything. You're on Instagram. You're on Threads.
All the things.
Everybody joined Threads this week because they've had enough of the other place. But you're also, you're on the other place too, right?
Well, I wish I weren't, but I am.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Well, we never know what these things are going to become. So it makes sense to sort of hold your place, and, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But you can find Molly all over social media. Follow her. She'll keep you super informed. She'll keep you feeling sane. She'll let you know what you can be paying attention to, what you can be doing. If you had one last thing to tell people that are interested in this election, but they don't know where to start, what would you say?
I would say that if you on the local level, there are a lot of really important elections happening, from the school board to the dog catcher we are now in a moment where local elections matter more than have ever mattered. So school boards, dog catcher, city council, first selectman, all the way, Republicans have brought a lot of crazy ideas to some of these little jobs that should just be nonpartisan activities.
Yeah.
Like dog catcher, or school board. And so if you want to get involved, that's an easy way to get involved and not blow up your life.
Yeah.
And so that is my suggestion.
Yeah, and we're getting close. So check your voter registration at the very least, just to make sure you haven't been purged from the rolls.
Yes.
Do that today. You can do that today. And we will talk to you soon. Thanks to Molly Jong-Fast. We love you guys. Bye.
We love you. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
And I still love TiVo.
Bye, Molly. Thanks.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
Oh no.